Here we are. This is Evans Pond or Wallingford Lake. 20 years ago, this right here, this is the environment where in springtime of 1994, I was sitting parked in that location up here. After I received the amazing transformation, I was walking around in this field here, completely amazed, just shocked, and not really knowing exactly what to do. This is the place. Here is where I was parked. Not that places are sacred per se, but it's the 20-year mark. I was sitting right here. I had been studying the scriptures and hanging out with the Church of Christ group, and I was working on cars, working on antique cars. In between working on one car and another car and having a bite to eat, and I was looking around in the car for something to read, and there was nothing to read, so I reached in the glove compartment and rustled around, and there was this little green booklet that my mother used to give out called The Messiah in Both Testaments. It's a really interesting treatise that goes, the most amazing drama ever presented to the mind of humankind is that of the pre-written life of Christ. This one fact, above all others, singles him out because no person in all the history of humankind has ever had 200 to 300 individual predictive points set in writings of 30 or so peoples, set in writings of 30 or so peoples whose lifespans stretched far apart from one another and did not know one another. 200 to 300 individual predictive points set in place across history, and then the person came and fulfilled all of these predictions. The strange wonder and proof is this, that the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls library unearthed copies of the Hebrew Scriptures older than Jesus of Nazareth, hundreds and hundreds of copies, proving that these predictive points have not been changed by Jesus' followers. And then the New Testament, regardless of the fact that it was fully gathered and set together quite a few years after Jesus of Nazareth had returned into the spirit realm, the New Testament is a literary document like no other because its painstaking reproduction and its duplication rate around all the trade routes of the world, the way that it was duplicated and sent around the world is absolutely astonishing. Famous writings from the Greek philosophers Socrates and Plato, Varro, Cicero, Homer, there are only a few copies. There are just a few copies of their writings, 2 or 3 copies stretched across hundreds of years. But when you come to the New Testament, way, way back at an early time, the little set of the New Testament, Matthew to Revelation, yes, there are apocryphal gospels, but they were not the ones that were set in this immensely, constantly duplicated form. The idea that there is a benevolent spirit who, through ugliness and darkness and hatred and deadly attitudes of human beings, is truly trying to connect with the ones that are truly seeking and trying to remain in contact with that highest benevolent spirit. And that benevolent spirit caused this thing that we call the New Testament that has moved all the famous peoples. People speak a lot of Gandhi, but you realize that Gandhi read and saturated in the writings of Jesus of Nazareth. You read a lot about Einstein, but he says when reading the writings of the life of Christ, one cannot avoid being strangely warmed and transformed by the things that he presented. So the New Testament is not just some nice thing. It is a peculiar thing that is worthy of reading, regardless of what you believe right now. Saturating in the New Testament, and I say especially in those red letters in the book of Acts and beyond, which is the Holy Spirit voice and how it comes to ordinary human beings after Jesus of Nazareth has visited the human family in the cosmos and now has put his spirit into ordinary human beings and now speaks to them. It's true to say, it is true to say that the pre-written life of Christ is the most amazing thing. His birth time, his birth manner, his birth lineage, his means of teaching, his grand acceptance by people, his immense rejection by people, the fact that he was pierced in his death, which is illegal in Judaism, the fact that he went to commercial fishermen and guys like loan sharks and prostitutes, really hard line, cut to the chase people, and made them his holy apostles, and skirted and avoided the established spiritual community to a certain extent. And then it said after he returned to the spirit realm, many of the established spiritual community threw aside their forms and their facades and the darkness that had been put on them, and they became cleansed. Their spirits, their souls became cleansed of dark religious spirits, and they began to walk in the purity and the power of Christ. This is heavy stuff. This is 2,000 years ago. And it is still affecting people enormously. The miracles, signs, and wonders, and the pleasant little baby-like prayer language that brings your soul strength and refreshment and encouragement, like a little bicycle that your spirit parent gave to you on a special birthday or a holiday, like a secret spiritual bicycle that you can ride, that gives you exercise, that takes you to faraway places where you can see farther spiritually. And also, it's this funny gift that you know is a gift that has come to you, and it's pleasant and strange and lovely and wonderful and curious, but also useful in many ways. And sometimes a stranger will look on that gift and become curious themselves. Hey, is there really a spirit giver who gives a gift for the soul that's tangible, that you can see and hear and understand? Remember that when Jesus was immersed in water, there was a tangible thing that happened to him that was visible. The Spirit, like a dove, descended upon him. Now, we don't know exactly what that looked like, but the Spirit that loves all people is into tangible indicators of that Spirit's love and presence and friendship. So this is just an introduction and a hello to the fact that I have reached a 20-year mark, and I have failed in many ways. Would you please intercede with the Most High God for me, that I might stop ruining myself and others in any way? The super rabbi, the devoted one, the one who was killing people and then transformed to a rescuer. The ugly one who was transformed, he said, I fear that having brought wholeness to many people, I fear that having brought wholeness to many people, I myself might pollute myself and become lost. So there's constantly that work of purifying and saying, you know what, I need to change this program. I need to transform. I need to announce my evil. I need to change my path, my way. I have received instruction, and I need to let you guys know what's going on with me. So may it be so for you. The first thing that I realized was in the churches of my youth, I saw no regular times of honesty in the midst of my family, my parents, the pastors, the elders, the adults around us. There was not a regular time of honesty to get current with the fact that we have darkness in us and we need to maintain a cleansing, a clarity, and a purity. We have done things that have set us on paths that need to be stopped. We have drawn people into our lives in ways where they are relying on us or connected with us because we have been disobedient in our following of God. People's lives are so intricate. Just one smile, just one drawing a person away to a different path can change a whole course of events. You are the light of the world. You are the presence of heaven on this earth. And you can either choose to push heaven's guidance away and just live as your own God and your own king and your own, selfish, child angry over your toy box saying, I will not submit to anyone. I will not submit to anyone, but I will be the captain of what I have. In that way, we isolate ourselves rather than saying, I will allow the highest presence, the cosmos designer, the designer of all visitable existence, including whatever aliens are. The highest one in the parallel realm, which Oppenheimer and Eisenhower spoke of. There must be a parallel realm. There must be an invisible realm that is in constant contact with this visible realm. And that realm caused all of this existence, and that realm is still affecting this existence in a constant and direct and interactive way. So, Shoma Akal Yate Cheshta. Give your life a new boost and a new shot. Come to me if you need to. Talk about how you need to be honest and the steps that you need to take, and I will help if I can. But most importantly, you must go to the Holy Spirit and to the ways. Find scrollpublishing.com and you will be filled with awareness of the first Christians. Find spiritlessons.com and you will be filled with the awareness of many different testimonies about glimpses of the other realms. Those two things are extremely important tools on the web. There are many others. Shalom, wholeness on you. Whoa, God, allow me to stay alive. And the question is, what governs your life? What governs your life? I have just traveled here from Harrisburg, the government seat of the state that I was born in, which was began by George Fox, actually began by Margaret Fell. Pennsylvania was began by Margaret Fell caring for George Fox, reaching William Penn. This is part of the most beautiful beginning of this particular strange country environment. Peace be unto the natives who walked in this land. This is also the place where they found the first dinosaur, Haddonfield, New Jersey. The Haddon region. Study Elizabeth Haddon. Yippee!